Good morning, movers and groovers. PayPal has launched their US stablecoin. They've called it something that sounds like PSYOP. We'll dive into that. Worldcoin has been raided as well. Let's jump into the numbers. And we've got a couple of awesome things. I want to show you this as we get into it. This is absolutely epic, the Nakamoto portfolio. We will jump into a couple of things really shortly. I know Bitcoin's been sideways for a long time and people are getting a little bit antsy. After periods of very boring sideways action, usually we see a lot of volatility. A lot of people are starting to expect a pump to the upside. Short term, if it goes up, down, don't worry about it. Just stack accordingly. Obviously, this video is not financial advice. So checking out the block clock here, 802,135. That's the block height, 5:54 a.m. local time. Bitcoin at the moment, 29,093, 33,437 sats per USD. There's a couple of things on here that I want to point out that I like. This outside ring blocks to the next halving, 37,865. Blocks, this red ring on the inside here, blocks to the next difficulty adjustment is 233. This is timechaincalendar.com. Average block time here, this is very important information for Bitcoin. So the target's 10 minutes at the moment. We're sitting at 9 minutes and 56 seconds. We are looking at that difficulty adjustment going up by 0.72% on the 9th of August. Last 24 hours, 146 blocks instead of 144. That's because it's running ahead of schedule. So much information here. I'm still wrapping my head around it. But the hash rate, the 7-day, we can see there, absolutely massive. It just keeps growing and growing. 382.3 extra hashes a second there. So we'll come back to that. Market cap sideways, down a tiny little bit last 24 hours, 1.21 trillion, little bit of red. We'll jump into the band of bubbles, better way to see it. We've gone through Bitcoin and just want to show you the lows the last 24 hours because we did wick down, absolutely just dropped, but we came straight back up. So if you weren't awake for that one or you weren't watching the charts, you wouldn't have even noticed. Steps down, God candle, straight back up. But we had a low of 28,754, a high of 29,173. Just another day in crypto, ladies and gentlemen, and Bitcoin. Wouldn't worry about it. Use these opportunities to act accordingly, potentially stack sats. Ethereum 1822 is its current price. A low of 1807 and 95 cents and a high of 1843 the last 24 hours. It didn't sell off as severely, but it didn't pump as well either. Limited offer. We're not going to click on that bubble today. Who knows what screen that will bring up. Bitcoin Cash. There's no real big winners there. Absolutely nothing, actually. Winning there. So PayPal. Super interesting. Before we get into that, I'm interviewing some really epic people this week. If you haven't already seen some of these videos here, let me just bring them up for you. Brian D. Mint, Luke Mickick, Rob from Riot, Jake Woodhouse, the Bitcoin advisor, Haley Lennon, the world's crypto expert, Natalie Brunel. The best, the brightest minds. We've got Jarrett in here as well. Epic conversations with some of the greatest people in the world within Bitcoin. But this week on Friday, we've got Greg Foss coming on. We have Peter Dunworth and we've got Jason Meyer. So if you've got any questions for these great thought leaders within the Bitcoin and the crypto space, drop them below in the comments. Hit me up on Twitter at SeanClark911. We'll make sure we get those questions. That's where the passion lies with these interviews. Being able to bring the brightest, the best over to you. So hopefully you enjoy those conversations coming up in the next week there. Now, PayPal. Let's get into this PSYOP coin that they've put out, which is, it's interesting. You need to tell me how to pronounce it. Anyway, PayPal to issue dollar-pegged crypto stablecoin based on Ethereum. The token will be available first on PayPal and then on Venmo and can be exchanged for US dollars at any time, with KYC attached, I'm sure. So PayPal USD. Now, PYUSD. So PUSD, PSI-USD. It's not PSYOP, but it looks bloody close to it. How would you explain that? How would you say that? It's just such a horrible ticker. I don't know. I'm going to go with PUSD. Why not? PayPal. Would you like to receive my PUSD? Bloody hell. They could have come up with something a little bit better. PSYOP would have been a little bit better. I'm sure this is a little bit of a PSYOP going on here. I'm having a bit of a banter. That's not financial advice. Use it or don't. Make up your own investment decisions with that, with PUSD, bloody hell. So the Ethereum-based token will soon be available to PayPal users in the US. This is the first time a major financial company is issuing its own stablecoin. Actually a really good thing for the space at the end of the day. Users can transfer PUSD between PayPal and supported external digital wallets. Please somebody correct me phonetically below in the comments on what the hell you'd call PUSD. Anyway, you can use the tokens to pay for goods and services or convert any of PayPal's supported cryptocurrencies to and from PUSD. Now, PUSD will be issued by New York-based crypto financial services firm Paxos Trust. Talking about Paxos Trust, they deal with the gold. We've got Collective Finance in the comments. Good morning, Collective Finance, and they deal with gold through Paxos. They're on the Arbitrum network, so if you're interested, check them out. Definitely made a video in the past. Cool company for a crypto company. Nice to be able to use stablecoins as an alternative. Anyway, that's just randomly, they happen to be there at an opportune time. So good morning, Collective Finance. It's great to see you. Really legends in the space, really well. People that you can trust, people that have been verified. Now, PUSD will be issued by New York-based crypto firm services Paxos Trust and will be fully backed by the US dollar deposit, short-term treasuries, and similar cash equivalents. Couple more things. With PUSD, it's a stablecoin for payment processing giant PayPal launched crypto payments in 2020 and has since been actively involved in the sector. They tried to bring this out ages ago, but due to regulation or due to a lack of regulation, a lack of guidelines within the US, they put it on hold, and it's taken them nearly 3 years to bring this back out to market. So it's pretty interesting. It is built on Ethereum, designed for digital payments Web3, with the firm saying it will soon be available to United States customers. I wonder what now has given them the impetus to be like, stuff it, we're doing it, we're just going to come out with this stablecoin, because it's a huge, bold move, and it could work out really bad or really, really, really good for people that are interested in crypto. Obviously on this channel, we do distinguish between crypto and Bitcoin, two different asset classes. Both have value. For me, 95% Bitcoin, and then play around with the crypto. You do you. PayPal boasts over 350 million active users and already lets users in the US and the United Kingdom buy, sell, and hold Bitcoin, Ether, Bitcoin Cash. That's great. They're allowing people to buy Bitcoin Cash, considering it's up to date. It's the only one. And Litecoin, while also enabling payments in the assets. Taking the piss, Bitcoin Cash is a load of piss, a load of crap. So if you're buying it, don't waste your time. Hold the real thing, hey? The crypto stablecoin market has a $126 billion circulating supply. So this is dominated by Tether. Tether's who we have an issue with in the space. We don't really know if they have proof of reserves. The information that has come out in the form of dodgy Excel spreadsheets is looking like they are positive, and they are earning a loss of interest on all the money they are holding. So maybe Tether's legit, maybe it's another PSYOP, but with PUSD coming in to the space, they're going to take away a little bit of Tether's issued USD. USDT, it just sounds so much better than PUSD, like they've stuffed up here. Anyway, so USDT, $86.5 billion market cap, and followed by Circle USDC or USD coin. See, they're just so much better than PUSD. Bloody hell, PayPal, come on. With a 26 billion market cap. However, many stablecoins have recently faced regulatory hurdles in the United States, where policymakers are currently discussing a bipartisan stablecoin bill. Interesting. Let us know what your thoughts are on this. Now, this is epic. We're going to get into a price model that's talking about millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. This NakamotoPortfolio.com, Greg Foss keeps talking about it. He keeps preaching about it. So I jumped on here this morning for the first time, and proof of work, it's 6:04 here in the morning. So it's bloody early and I haven't had a time to look at it. So we're going to do this together. And we'll see where it leads us. I think this is going to be very basic, but I believe like Greg Foss just keeps going on about it. So there's got to be a reason why he's done that. There's a couple of different things in here. So the Nakamoto portfolio, it's a set of tools, research, and open source code to explore the groundbreaking effects that Bitcoin has on the financial world. So we're going to have a look at the Bitcoin Schroeder model, but you can go into portfolio, analytics, DCA or lump sum, real estate from bricks to bits, Bitcoin historical return analysis, Bitcoin retirement accounts. It's so full on. The Nakamoto gauntlet, Bitcoin priced at default insurance on a basket of sovereigns. Like you can go into all these different tools, quotes by him, Swan Research. So this is powered by Swan as well. If you don't know who Swan are, not endorsed by the channel, but I have had Stephen Lubka on here, who is head of like net wealth or individuals with net wealth, wherever that video is. Have a search for it. May have even been live when we went, but he's dealing with like $100 million clients when we're like when we're talking. Here we go, Stephen Lubka from Swan. Really epic video. Check that one out, see what Swan is doing. But let's go back and have a look. This is the first thing in here that I clicked on this morning. So run the numbers, why not? And let's read about it. So Bitcoin Schroeder model. The model results in a $584,000 Bitcoin and a current price of $29,134. So upside to fair value today is a 20x. It would need to have a $12.28 trillion market cap. So sort of in line with gold, which for me, definitely not financial advice. Is just a matter of when, not if. What that time frame is, nobody knows and nobody can tell you. Current market cap, 6.12 billion. Now, it's discount rate, 3-month T-bills rate, 5.54%. It's going into stocks, potentially their future appreciation. I really need to have a look at the market value, play around with all these numbers, but you can see how in depth it is. And truly, honestly, I've no idea what I'm looking at because I've spent about 30 seconds before now having a look. But there's a lot of information here, and you can see over time. What this time is, we don't know, but Bitcoin's current price trajectory is up and to the right. So we'll see where it ends up in good time. This is talking about in year 20. We do have Luke Mikic talking about a $65 million Bitcoin. So check that video out. That was a lot of fun as well. Bitcoin, Wa, BSS, Salam, my beloved Bitcoiners. Stack sats and stay humble. Amen, brother. You're speaking the language. So check out that NakamotoPortfolio.com. There's heaps of stuff in there. Maybe each day we'll just have a quick play around, have a look. When I've got a bit of time, I'll try and understand it a bit more. But if Greg Foss drops it in like every podcast that he's talking about, may as well pay attention and have a look there as well. So if you have any questions for Greg, like I said, he's coming in on Friday for a pre-recorded podcast, so make sure you hit us up. Comments below here are fine, I'll make sure to ask him. Worldcoin Nairobi warehouse raided by Kenyan police. So Worldcoin's a bloody psyop. This thing is something out of a horror movie. The project failed to reveal its true intentions when it registered in the country's authorities say. True intentions, they're like a scary thing looking into an orb. Like if you're for freedom, if you're for Bitcoin, why would you give up your biometric data? I guess we all use iPhones, Touch ID, Face ID. There's CCTV absolutely everywhere. In Australia with the tax agency, when I call them on the phone, it's voice recognition. They know who I am from my voice pattern. Like it's all messed up. All your files, your medical files are stored. You can opt out so that it's not shared everywhere. But if they want something, they've got it. And you have no rights anymore, basically. And we saw that through 2020 with the virus. Now, I think that's all a big psyop. Anything with Worldcoin, ChatGPT. I use ChatGPT. I think it's an amazing tool. But it's also something to be wary of. Now, the Kenyan police, they did raid the Nairobi warehouse of Worldcoin Saturday, confiscating documents and machines, local news organization reported Monday. Worldcoin was co-founded by Sam Altman, tech entrepreneur, CEO, OpenAI company behind ChatGPT. So after the project's launch in July, users could receive airdrops of the Worldcoin token in exchange for being scanned. In exchange for being scammed. It is now facing trouble in Kenya. Last week, so that's a little bit of misinformation from me. Let me own up. They're not scamming you, they're scanning you. I just can't see the difference with this project, but that's me and that's my biased opinion. My apologies. If they're giving away free Bitcoin and as actual Bitcoin, I probably would have got my face scanned, to be honest. So anyone that has gone through and looked into this evil little orb, I understand. Maybe next time, if you're getting something for free, understand that you're the product. Last week, the Ministry of the Interior suspended the project's operations in the country, even as Kenya's Minister for the Digital Economy, Elude, said the ODPC had been in contact with Worldcoin as far back as April and had concluded that its activities comply with Kenya's data protection laws. Later in the week, however, the ODPC issued a statement saying that after a preliminary review, isn't that a beautiful word, preliminary review, it found a number of legitimate regulatory concerns around the project. Authorities in the UK, France, and Germany are also looking into the project. It'll be so interesting to see what comes out of that. Now, heading over to Congress should set US digital asset policy, not the SEC. Out with the SEC. Hashtag fire Gensler. At the end of the day, the world would be a better place with clear regulation. Even though we don't want regulation, it is what's needed in the space. Unfortunately, I do agree with it, and I know a lot of people watching won't agree with me, but that's how we are going to see major adoption. We do need the institutions to be here. They don't need to come all at once, but we do need to see more and more adoption. So the SEC's three-part mandate is: number one, protect investors; two, maintain fair, orderly, and efficient markets; and three, facilitate capital formation. I'll make this a little bit bigger for you. The SEC is supposed to be a disclosure-based regulator that is technology neutral, meaning they establish a framework for issuers to divulge pertinent information to investors, but do not unilaterally take a stance on which tech ought to make it to the market. They shouldn't, but they do. So with recent proposed updates to the long-standing custody rule, a couple of things that they're doing. And new qualifications affecting broker-dealers, the SEC is covertly sidestepping Congress and seeking to regulate digital assets out of existence. This is backdoor rulemaking par excellence. Specifically, the SEC is doing the following: obscure accounting rules locking out custody banks. That's a huge one. So they are targeting Coinbase by pressuring state trust custodians First quarter 23, SEC proposed changes to the custody rules section of the Investment Advisor Act of 1940. They make it sound so engaging, but it's important. So listen, in the proposed rule, the SEC asks whether the definition of qualified custodian should be narrowed to only include banks or savings associations that are subject to federal regulation. Hostility, just quickly, if you're watching, if you made it this far into the video, pat on the back, hit subscribe if we vibe. It is so good to see you here. Make sure you check out those interviews. They're the high level conversation. So back to it. Hostility toward open source software and financial transparency. I just wanted to stop and say thank you very much for your time invested with us today. Joining the crew, we are growing rapidly. So, the path forward. The United States blocking the emergence of the digital asset industry does not mean the industry will not exist. It just means that it will flourish elsewhere. The EU, UK, Singapore, and Australia, shout outs where I am, have already passed regulatory frameworks for digital assets. The Hong Kong Monetary Authority has gone so far as to publicly tell banks to support licensed crypto exchanges. So I know I sort of threw all that up together and spun it up. Basically, at the end of the day, the US needs to come out with clearer and clearer regulation so companies can be on US turf and innovate and go forward. That's all we're asking for. And it's good for the whole world, for the whole crypto space. So we'll watch that. And now the Federal Reserve, their rate hike cycle has peaked according to investment banks. This is great news. So the end of the tightening cycle, however, doesn't necessarily imply a quick pivot towards ZIRP or zero interest rate policy, meaning animal spirits may not return to the crypto market anytime soon. That's cool, slow and steady. The cheaper it is for the longer it is, the more that I can stack. And that's the goal, to get as much as possible before the halving. So who cares what the price is today? The cheaper, the better. Anyway, the Fed Reserve policy is now sufficiently restrictive to put inflation back on track to the central bank's 2% target with their dodgy accounting practices, and doesn't warrant additional rate hikes. Great to see. The end of the tightening cycle doesn't imply a quick return the zero interest rate policy, meaning the heady crypto bull market days of 21 and 22 may remain elusive for some time. Fed in July raises benchmark Fed funds rate by 25 basis points to the 5.25 to 5.5% range, bringing it to 5.25 basis points. The bank retained the data-dependent stance, indirectly leaving the door open for further tightening in the coming months. The reason they choose to tighten is if they want to cause financial panic. They want more banks to fold. It's possible. I wouldn't count it out, but we'll see what happens in September. As we get a little bit closer, we'll start to see what the market's pricing in a little bit too far out, and it's going to change between now and then. On balance, this Friday's US jobs payrolls report doesn't suggest any need for the renewed impetus for the Fed hiking interest rates again in September. Check out these. Jessica Haley, will get her back on the show in the next coming weeks as well. So check out those videos. Definitely under videos are where you're going to find most of them. The Orange Pill app guy, best-selling author Brian D. Mint. We start off the conversation talking about rare naked chokes with our wives. So jump into that, find out what all that's about. A whole lot of fun. We are talking about a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu move as well. Not as dirty as what you think, ladies and gentlemen. This is a family-friendly show most of the time. Anyway, have a very beautiful day. We'll see you on the next video. If you've got comments for these amazing people that are coming up, hit us up on Twitter at SeanClark911 or drop us a comment below. Hit subscribe. Be blessed. Peace. If you are still watching, you're a champion.